You just try to create, a strong and lasting connections with these students, and it helps them academically and it helps them socially. And that's really what we're trying to do with them. When parents send their kids to school every day, they expect that they're going to be safe. They expect that they're going to be loved. And if that's all that I provide for them in that day, then I feel like I've done my job.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Inspiring Teachers, the Honored podcast, where we shine a spotlight on life-changing teachers across the country. I'm Hannah, your podcast host, and our podcast is brought to you by Honored, which is a national nonprofit organization dedicated to honoring and elevating great teachers nationwide. Our mission is to inspire and retain great teachers, keeping them in the classroom as long as possible. Every month at Honored, we select an exceptional educator in the United States to be the recipient of the Honored National Teaching Award. Each honoree, as we call them, gets a $5,000 cash reward, and we then tell the story on our website and our social media platforms of how that teacher has impacted their students' lives. To learn more about our organization, you can go to our website at honored.org. While you're there, if you have a teacher you would like to recognize, you can nominate them at honored.org/nominate. We are so excited to have you listening in on another Honoree podcast episode. To celebrate Autism Acceptance Month, we are honored to share the story of an incredible educator who has made an impact on the life of a student with autism. Educators are not only critical for the development of students with autism, but they are also lifelines for families to gain confidence in supporting their children. Through their dedication, educators working with students with autism are fostering communities of learning, acceptance, and understanding. Today, we are joined by Kiersten Wood, a 1st through 3rd grade special day class teacher from Los Banos, California. She was nominated for this award by the parents of her student, Payton. To help share the impact of Kiersten's teaching, we are joined today by Payton's mom and dad, Anthony and Samantha. Before we dive into Kiersten's story, we are excited to kick off our honoree episode with our special segment, Teachers Who Inspired, which is featured at the beginning of each episode. Here, we invite well-known individuals to share a story about a teacher who had a lasting impact on their lives. These stories remind us that behind every great achievement, there's often an inspiring teacher who believed in their potential. Today, we're thrilled to have our guest on our special segment, Matthew Kenslow, who is the author of Juggling the Issues, Living with Asperger Syndrome. Matthew Kenslow has grown up with a form of autism known as Asperger syndrome. Life has been an adventure as he pieced together all of his surroundings amid both praises and teases. His mission is to teach others, from a first-hand perspective, how autistic people interpret things differently than the rest of the world. He has earned the Gold Medal of Achievement, which is equivalent to the rank of Eagle Scout, through Royal Rangers, and graduated from Orange Coast College with an Associate of Science degree in chemistry. This audio is credited to Matthew Kenslow, and you can find more information on the source of this audio in the episode description.
Hi, my name is Matthew Kenslow. From preschool onward, I remember every single one of my teachers, and they all left some impact on me. But a few of them left a greater impact, to which it's hard to choose. But if I were to choose one, it would be Mr. John Daniel, who taught me 11th grade U.S. history and geography, and a semester of 12th grade government. I first met Mr. Daniel on Tuesday, September 6, 2011, the first day of class, and I went up and introduced myself. I'm Matthew, and I'll be in your class in third period, and he was happy to meet me. And he and I both share the same passion of United States history, geography, and the presidents. And I really enjoyed his class, and I learned a lot from him, including life virtues such as humility and humbleness and patience and such. Of all the stories I could tell, I have one that really stood out to me. At the time, he had a second grade son, and he was assigned a president's project. Now, previously, in September 2011, I determined that I want to become a teacher, and I was set on it, and I told frankly everybody, and he knew that, and he knew my love of the United States presidents, that I could rattle them off by memory, by number, and all that, and he wanted to give me the opportunity to teach his son. I would write something up for him, and he would give it to his son to base it off of. And he said, as a history teacher, I'm very tempted to help out my own son, but I wanted you to have the opportunity. And so the president was Theodore Roosevelt. I read a chapter about Theodore Roosevelt, and I put something together, did some research, put down what I knew, and I submitted it. I emailed it to him one morning, and it wasn't just the email, but I also said that I learned in the process, and that, you know what, Theodore Roosevelt is now one of my favorite presidents. And I submitted it to him, and his son got a 100% A plus. But Mr. Daniel replied to that email saying, "Please see me. I want to talk to you." So I went up to his class and I asked if he wanted to see me, and he said yes. "Remember when you said that you learned in the process and all this?" And I said yes. He said, "Well, you just learned the most valuable lesson of teaching, that you learned in the process. Teachers are always learning. We don't know everything at the start, and we're still learning even years into it. So good job that you caught that." And I would never forget the time when he passed the torch to me, and likewise, I would pass that torch to all of my future students as well.
We are so grateful to be able to share that wonderful audio for our Teachers Who Inspired segment. Throughout the rest of the episode, we'll share Kiersten Wood's story and the amazing impact she has on her students. To start us off, you'll hear from Kiersten, who shares what led her to teaching as she found her passion for teaching individuals with disabilities.
So I actually, when I first started college back in 2004, I had no intentions of becoming a teacher. But my mom has been in education. She was in education my whole time growing up. I went to college originally to become a child life specialist. And that kind of changed when I nannied for a little boy with autism. And that quickly became my passion. And so I nannied for a little boy with autism in the beginning of my second year of college. And so I quickly just really gained a passion for children with special needs. And that was when I was going to a junior college. And then I moved down to San Diego to start San Diego State. And I also started nannying for a child there that was severely disabled. And it quickly just really sucked me into that also. And so I changed my career path and started to earn a degree in psychology. And I graduated with a degree in psychology. And so my first job out of college was doing in-home ABA with children with autism. And I started with children birth to the age of 3. And I did that for about 7 years. And I ended up moving back home after that. And I knew that doing in-home ABA wasn't going to pay the bills. So I thought, what am I going to do? And I knew I could really make a difference in kids' lives and families' lives if I were to go into the classroom. And so I decided that's what I was going to do. And so I applied to some different colleges around my hometown. And I decided that I was going to earn a master's in special education. And I was going to start in the classroom. And so I started going to college again. And I still continued to work part-time doing ABA and home therapy. And so I still did that while I was going to school. I kind of worked my way up the ladder a little bit while doing that. So I wasn't just providing services, but I was also helping younger therapists learn how to do the therapy and one thing after another. And as I was doing my credential program and earning a master's, I started my first job as a teacher. And so I still have that same job. I've been in the classroom now. This is my 9th year. And it's been a blast. I mean, trust me, as a teacher, there are good days and there are tough days, but all of those good days definitely outweigh the tough days.
To learn more about Kiersten's incredible impact on her student Payton, we spoke with Payton's dad, Anthony. He shared what inspired him to nominate Kiersten and reflected on Payton's growth in communication. Kiersten's impact goes beyond her students. She also empowers parents and families, giving them the guidance and confidence they need to support their children's growth.
Over the years, she's actually taught our son Payton, and he's just had a tremendous growth. Not just his life skills, but just in so many other areas, and just his verbal. He's been non-speaking, and he got to the point to where he can communicate so much better in so many other areas, but with talking to Kiersten, and I always thought she was an amazing teacher. Outside of school, she's actually really helped us a lot. We've done and put together events for kids with autism, people with disabilities, and she's always been there to help. I mean, just so much she's willing to help and just kind of guide us with how to work with kids and how to work with Payton and, things that she's learned over the years. And there was one day just in conversation, and us talking and something, I think it was a bad day that day. She had, and I had told her, honestly, like, you really, with what you do, you deserve an award for what you do. And, just since then, she's done so much. There's things you see with kids and just things we've seen with her. I mean, at events, we've seen children that she taught, when she first started with the district. I mean, they're 11, 12, 13 years old, and they run up to her. The impact she actually had on those kids is the same impact I see she had on my son Payton.
Kiersten has a gift for recognizing the individuality of her students. She creates an empathetic and respectful environment where her students can feel safe to learn and grow. Kiersten shares more about how she approaches the individuality of her students and the passion she feels for treating each kid as her own.
So one thing that I always explain to people, they'll ask me, oh, so like you work with Johnny here and little Sally here, like, are they similar? And I always tell anyone that asks me, I say, when you work with special needs kids, and especially children that have autism or on the spectrum, they're all different. They're all very, very different children. And so you never really run across two that are alike. And so I always explain to people, like, you have to foster an environment for them where you have empathy for them, you have respect for them, and everything that you do for them is individualized. And so you really just you love them. And I don't have children of my own, and so whenever anyone asks me, like, do you have any kids, and I tell them, I say, yeah, I have 15 of them, and they all go home at 2:30. And and so you just try to create a strong and lasting connections with these students, and it helps them academically and it helps them socially. And that's really what we're trying to do with them. When parents send their kids to school every day, they expect that they're going to be safe. They expect that they're going to be loved. And if that's all that I provide for them in that day, then I feel like I've done my job. Yes, I'm there to teach them. I'm there to work on these goals that we've formed for them. And yes, that is my job, but I also want to make sure that they're happy when they're there. And so if I can provide that environment for them, then I feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I always have this thought that those kids that are with me, from some of them are dropped off at 7:30, some of them are dropped off at 8 o'clock, and on a typical day they're with me until 2:30. Those kids are with me for more hours of their waking day than they are with their parents, Monday through Friday. And their parents are instilling a lot of trust in me. So I really, really, really have to build a relationship with them and make sure that not only do the parents trust me, but that the students trust me. And because a lot of my kiddos, they don't have language, and they can't go home and tell their mom or their dad or their aunt or their uncle or their grandparents, whoever's raising them, this is what I did at school today, this is how I felt. And so I hope that through their emotion and through their body language, if they don't have the verbal language, that they can show to their parents that they have a good relationship with their teacher or a good relationship with the paraprofessional that's there at school. So I just hope that the relationship that I build with them is shown in many different ways to the parents when they go home.
The positive impact of Kiersten's teaching on Payton has been witnessed both inside and outside of the classroom. Anthony has seen his son's remarkable social growth and has been able to build a deeper relationship with him. Through Kiersten's guidance, Anthony has also gained knowledge about autism, helping him better understand and connect with his son.
He used to be he kept to himself, and he was just very introverted, and he just didn't really interact with our other boys. And, him and I, didn't really have a bonding relationship. He just kind of would segregate himself. And with learning and just being involved in the interaction she had with him really helped him just sprout. And, you can see where he's blossomed, and just his happiness, just radiance is just everywhere now. And at his school, everybody knows him. And it's funny because when everybody sees him, it's a smile, it's Payton. And it's been a huge impact that she's had on him, from teaching to a friendship and helping us. And she's really helped me understand how to just understand him, and just how to understand what autism is, and not just as a person, but as a parent, and as a father. And, it's really helped me to be able to build that relationship with him.
Expanding on Kiersten's commitment to building connections with her students, Payton's mom, Samantha, shares her gratitude for the time Kiersten spends teaching her son. She has watched Payton's social skills blossom, not just at home, but throughout the school as well.
Payton has just grown so much in so many different areas. It is like night and day. And like she said, she does spend a majority of the time with him, more time, than we do. So as, much as she's so kind to say that, it's, things we do here at home, or, us as parents, I feel a lot equal, if not more, is things they do at school with him and that she does with him. So yeah, everything from trying to be more social, or, interaction with brothers, interaction with adults. Before it was just the two of us that he would interact with. And like Anthony said, it was very minimal for him and Payton, until recently. So, just with her and the staff and, all school staff, like he said, everybody knows him. We go into the office, oh, good morning, Payton, whether it's the front secretary or the school nurse or the cafeteria ladies, and to me, it's nice to hear that he does interact with all these different people that he sees throughout his day. A big part of that is coming from Kiersten. It's something important for him to learn, and she, really pushes that, whether it's set in his IEP goal or it's just something, we have talked about in conversation. She's always willing to work with us, and, us with her, on things we want him to do, things we know he's able to do, things we've seen him do, and kind of just keep building on it.
Beyond the classroom, Kiersten is passionate about participating in the community. In working with Payton's parents, they have supported the community through sensory-friendly events. By creating events for kids with disabilities in mind, they ensure that all children can participate in these fun experiences. Beyond events, they also have held a backpack drive to give away school supplies for students in their school. Through their dedication to their community, Kiersten and Payton's parents have been able to foster a meaningful relationship outside of the classroom.
So that's actually something that Samantha and Anthony have helped me with. So they kind of have helped me get into that. They've been wonderful in doing stuff with the community also. A couple of years ago, about 3 years ago, they came up with this idea of, a lot of the times in the community when you see pancakes with Santa or let's go visit Santa, it's very overwhelming even for neurotypical kids, as well as, these kiddos that we see that are on the spectrum or may have a different type of disability. It's really tough for them to go to those. And so because, a child with autism may not be able to go do it, well, neither can their siblings sometimes. And so they came up with this idea, let's do a sensory-friendly pancakes with Santa type event. And they asked me, they said, can you help us? And I said, yeah, let's do it, And so we got together and we did a big event, and we did a sensory-friendly pancakes with Santa ordeal. And by the grace of them, every kiddo that came got a Christmas present, and siblings were welcome. They had arts and crafts, and it was a really fun event. And then we did another one about a year later for Halloween. And the great thing about that is kids all ages were allowed to attend. I mean, from birth to, or not even kids, adults too. If they were 25, they could come. And so it was just really nice for them because there were no restrictions. And, there wasn't crazy lights going, loud music, stuff like that. So it was really, really nice for the community. And people had, expressed that there was never anything like that for them to come to. And so it was difficult for those families that had kiddos that weren't comfortable going to the other events. And I had some of my previous students attend, and so it was really great to be able to see them. But yeah, so, it was just really good to get some input from the community about those type of events and whatnot. And then at our most recent back to school night, we were able to give away a ton of backpacks with school supplies in them to our students at the school that Payton attends and I teach at. So those were some things that we've done together for the community.
When the COVID pandemic hit, Payton's progress in the classroom came to a halt as in-person learning shut down. Anthony reflects on the challenges of that time and the impact on Payton's growth. Returning to the classroom after the pandemic was invaluable for Payton to regain momentum and build a solid foundation for learning through Kiersten's support.
During COVID, Payton just had started school, and he, like everybody, ended up sheltering in place. So it crumbled extremely fast, and he had to start all over. So being able to go back to school and start with Kiersten was amazing because it helped build a platform for him. It not only built his platform as building a person, but it built him to the idea of going to school, and it was, for me, as scary for me as it is for him, I know, because, I just was always, until now, I'm still very protective of him. And I travel a lot, but it used to stress me when he would go to school or things. And I feel fantastic knowing where he's at, because he's not just a student, he's not just a person, he's Payton. And to her and, to Kiersten and her staff, he's somebody special, and everybody's somebody special. So they all treat everybody. But for Payton to be able to have had that platform built is what's going to just fundamentally have him grow and continue in that direction. So I couldn't ask for anything better, or anyone better to have helped him build that. And I would honestly, I would love to take the credit. I'm not gonna lie, everybody would, but it is 100% exactly like she said. She does spend more time with these kids than the parents do, and I couldn't ask for anybody better for him to have spent that time with, over these years. And I wish he can stay there till he was 20 years old, 18 years old in our class. And trust me, I think I've tried and asked, but the foundation she helped build, and she did build, is what's literally gotten to where he's at. And I'm excited for him to continue growing because of that excitement he has from her. And it's amazing to see where he's at, and, the interaction and the things he talks about now.
During our conversation with Kiersten, she expressed her gratitude for the parents and guardians who play a crucial role in her students' success. Without their hard work and dedication, she wouldn't be able to be a source of growth for her students. For Kiersten, teaching is truly a partnership that is made stronger through families committing to furthering their children's education.
Something that I like to always remind parents is that I do a lot for these kids, and, parents constantly give me credit for the progress that their kids have made. But something that I always try to remind parents is that without them, I couldn't do what I do. They are the ones that get the kids up every morning, get them dressed, get them on the bus, or either drive them to school. And so, yes, I do a lot for these kids in the classroom, but I always try to remind parents, give yourself credit too, pat yourself on the back, because without what you do every day, I couldn't do what I do. So I appreciate all of the credit that parents give me, but I really try to encourage and remind them to give themselves credit, because I couldn't do what I do without them.
Thank you so much for listening and joining us today to learn more about Kiersten Wood, our April honoree and recipient of the Honored National Teaching Award. To read more about her story, you can visit our website at honored.org or click the link in the episode description. If you have a teacher who you want to recognize and nominate for our teaching award, you can head to honored.org/nominate to recognize a teacher today. If you enjoyed today's episode, you can follow us and leave us a review on whatever podcast platform you're listening in from. Thanks again for listening, and make sure to tune in next month to hear the incredible story of our May honoree.